beginning, God created the heavens, you get the space, he created the earth, which is matter, and he creates the light, which is energy, and now you've got space and matter and energy, so you can have a moving earth, and now you have time. So he called the light day and the darkness he called night, and the evening, the morning were the first day. So there's no time before verse 1 of Genesis, so there's no need to try and fill it up. There's no time. God exists outside of time. So you've made a very profound statement in quite a simple way.
Yeah,
and just not to take up your time.
Very quickly, though, Sylvester.
I also noticed where it says the beginning. Sorry, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. So I think that to get wisdom, there are so many things that I read and understand, which is sometimes hard to express. But it seems as the basic is the beginning. Sorry, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom.
And there's two types of wisdom as well. There's the wisdom of the world, which is foolishness to God.
Absolutely.
And there's the wisdom of God, which is probably foolishness to the world. And I suppose never the twain will meet. But I've got to leave it there because there's so many more people want to get through. Thank you so much, Sylvester. Glad that you've got a faith, brother. Keep it up. But the reason that they want to undermine the Bible is because they would have to be accountable for what they're doing, their actions, and particularly today when you see that which was once illegal, not only just according to God, but according to the governments now, is now become legal. We have the results in our society. We see the breakdown in family life. We see our prisons are full. All the sort of things that, when you attack the foundation, you actually bring upon ourselves. We reap what we sow, and God will not be mocked. Terry from North London. Terry.
Good evening, Howard. John.
Good day, mate.
I've just listened to the BBC News, 10 o'clock. And it's been given largely, the first few minutes, to Al Gore and his documentary, An Inconvenient Truth. The documentary's been issued to thousands of schools in this country, but a High Court judge has just ruled that it's unscientific and not factual, and it's still going through the courts, John. So I wondered where do we stand on this?
Well, number one, we just produced a program called A Really Inconvenient Truth. So if you want to see the whole length, Howard, you can hold that up, and that's available from our English office. And we've only got a couple of minutes left in this program, so you can actually follow through all the issues on climate change and creation that are dealt with there. But to put it very simply, the biggest problem with what Al Gore says, bless his little heart, is that you leave God and all of God's history of the world out. God is not in charge of the planet, the politicians are. So there's the biggest problem. Now, coming down to factual situations, you will discover, like, I got off the plane in April in Tennessee, and the headlines were, Big Spring Freeze Kills Trees. I checked around with the locals. There wasn't a single person who in recorded history could remember it freezing the trees to death in springtime. Al Gore lives in Tennessee. Right? So factually, when he says it's getting warmer, CO2 is the problem, don't be surprised the local Tennessee press had lots of jokes about global warming the next day. It simply wasn't working the way it should. And so the reality is, when you live in a world in which there are other sources of CO2 apart from motor cars, and you pretend that it's only the stuff from humans that's the problem, you are not actually telling the truth. And I'll give you just a couple of examples. There was an ABC article, which originally was on the BBC Two, I believe, about a massive volcanic eruption supposedly 55 million years ago. And it says it poured out huge quantities of CO2 and methane, and the world became much warmer. Okay, now that's pretty interesting. How do we know volcanoes breathe out CO2? They still do it today. Every time they go off, every time they smoke and smoulder, a lot of CO2 comes out. So your motor car, your systems are not the only source of massive amounts of CO2. To go one step further, I was on the border of South Australia and Victoria early this year because I was checking out where the soft drink companies get the gas from that they put in their cans. We have one mine in Australia which drills for carbon dioxide, and 30 to 40 tonnes a day pours out from the ground there, and we bottle it. That's basically what we do. So there are many sources of CO2. So I'm glad to hear you've reported the judge has said it is not factual, because it's one of the biggest deceits we've ever had played on us. Doesn't mean to say that you can't do things to mess up your environment, but what Al Gore has said is simply not the truth, and he's doing the politician's thing.
Yeah, and he's been nominated for a Nobel Peace Prize this week. But now, because of the High Court action, they're not sure what's going to happen.
Well, that should make you be suspicious, because doing a movie on the climate, why do you get a Peace Prize? Peace is where you bring people together. So therefore, my suspicion is that we have a scenario where people are saying we've got a global problem, which needs a global solution, which needs a global government. They've tried many times before to get this situation. I think they see this as the next best shot, and that's why he's been nominated for a Nobel Peace Prize. But again, I'm glad the judge has stood on his digs and said something. Yeah. We've been saying it too. It's available as a DVD from our amen.org site, and I'll be in England for the next couple of months, and they can get our itinerary off there. So looking forward to seeing you, or many of you.
Thank you, Terry.
Thank you very much, John and Howard. I'll get a copy and send it to the High Court judge.
There you
go.
Mate.
Thanks very much indeed. God bless.
Thank you. Couple of emails that, well, there's loads that I can't read out in the time we've got left. But one saying that they've been onto your website, see where you're going. You're mainly going to churches. Are you going to any universities? Because
many of the schools and that we do not put on the programs. You may remember.
I do remember now.
You do remember last year that we had a lot of
cancellations,
a lot of situations where the skeptics threatened to blockade this.
Yes.
We were in.
Isn't it amazing that we have enemies?
Yes. So many of the meetings involving educational institutions we do not put on our website at all. So yes, we do lots of things like that. As I said, I was in schools just this last week, but you won't find out where they were off our website.
Right. No, good point. This is from Dave Mintz saying, I'm a Christian, been about 3 years. I previously believed in evolution. Since becoming a Christian, I've had to reassess my attitudes on the whole range of subjects. I've come to the basic principle that God is more intelligent than me, and I can only say that have more faith in God than he had in science. And if we question creationism, we are undermining the credibility of God-inspired scriptures. Now, let me just see if I can get a few more emails before we go off the air. My goodness, there is loads in here. Let me just see what else we can do. Bear with me. 10 seconds. Oh, sorry, I didn't realise we're at the end of this particular part of the review. I want to say thank you to John MacKay. Please make sure you watch the repeats of this if you can, starting at 1:30 1 o'clock this morning, and also 1:30 at lunchtime tomorrow. Thank you very much, John. God bless you. See you on the
Look forward
November.
to it.
Thank you. Bye-bye.